Hi, welcome to Cabbage Kitchen. In today's video I'm going to show you how to make our red cabbage and black bean stir fry. So this is a great recipe for meal prep. It serves about 6 to 8. As you can see, it's full of delicious vegetables and all of that plant-based goodness, and it even comes with a nice homemade stir fry sauce. So talking about the ingredients, here's a list of the ingredients now. Just a couple of things to note. Obviously I've put black beans and chickpeas on there, but you can use any tinned beans that you've got, so if you don't have these, that's fine. Again, you can use any rice that you want as well. You can try wild rice if you like. And for the sauce, you can use any syrup. I've got agave, but date syrup or maple syrup would do just fine. And you can see on there I've got hoisin sauce. Today I'm using Worcester because I don't have any hoisin, so again you can use that as a substitute if you like. So the very first thing to do is to start bringing the 4 cups of water to the boil, and that's for the rice and quinoa. So I've got the water. I'm just going to bring that to the boil while I chop all the veg. It's very important to do all the chopping ahead of heating the oil in the stock pot, because once that's on and you've got all your veg in there, you don't want to be doing any more chopping. You just want to be continuously stirring just to keep it all moving. So what we'll do, we'll make the sauce in a second, but we're going to start just by chopping all the veg. So you can just roughly chop the pepper. I sometimes like to just sort of cut it into strips and then just cut it straight in half. It's important not to chop it too finely, because you want it to retain its crunch. And the same again, so you can see I've got one red and one yellow, but as with any stir fry you can just use whatever you've got in the fridge. If you like it a little bit spicy, you could also add a chilli to that, a jalapeno or your chilli of choice. Okay, so that's the pepper roughly chopped, and the garlic. Now you might think 1 clove of garlic doesn't seem like a lot, but given all of the other flavour going on in this recipe, it seems sort of just enough for this. It doesn't overpower it, it allows the other flavours to be sort of centre stage as well. So now for the spring onions, so obviously I'm going to just trim the ends off. I always like to use as much of the spring onion as I can. I see a lot of sort of demonstrations and videos of people using them, and they sort of throw half of it away. Now I've always just tried to use as much as I can of it, so with that in mind I'm just going to cut it into discs. And just keep going as far up the onion as I can before I run out. Then I'm just sort of left with the very ends and any sort of stringy bits. There you can then go into the food waste bin. But yeah, as you can see, I've got a lot of spring onion there now, so that will sort of fill this recipe pretty well. And then last but not least, the red cabbage. So I'm going to kind of shred the red cabbage. Obviously it's already shredded once you get inside, but so I'm just going to cut it into giant discs and then just break it up. Probably the most satisfying pattern that you'll find on a vegetable. So we only need sort of half of this red cabbage. It's about 200 grams. So once you've got it into the discs, you can then just roughly chop it, and that will give you this kind of shreds. like so. And right on time, the water has just begun to boil for the rice and quinoa, so I'm going to now just add those straight in. So I'm going to add the rice and the 1 cup of quinoa. And it's also, although it's optional, it's well worth adding just a little bit of stock powder as well. So I'm just putting a teaspoon of stock powder in that. And that just, the rice and quinoa will both just absorb that nicely. And just add a little bit more flavour. So I've given the rice and quinoa a quick stir. I'm going to leave it uncovered, boiling for about 20 minutes or until all the water is absorbed. And in the meantime, we're going to prepare the sauce and cook the rest of our veg. So for the sauce, I'm going to need a jug and a tablespoon to measure it all. So it's a nice easy 3-2-1 combination to remember for this. It's 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. And then 2 tablespoons of sesame oil. You can use toasted sesame oil if you want. Today I'm just using regular sesame oil. 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. And 1 tablespoon of white rice vinegar. And then, as I said, Worcester sauce or hoisin sauce, whichever one you're using, they both work very well for this. And it has to be a tablespoon again. And finally, just some syrup just to sweeten it a little bit. As I said, I've got agave here, but any syrup will work just fine for this. Date syrup actually works pretty well. And just give that a quick stir, just to combine it all. And then we can just let it sit for a few minutes while we stir fry the rest of the veg. So to stir fry the veg, obviously we're going to need a flame for that. So let's get this lit. So obviously I'm using a stock pot, as I said. We do have a wok. Obviously you'd usually use a wok for stir fry, but there's quite a lot here and it can get quite messy. So I'm just keeping it simple using a stock pot. So to that I'm going to add just sort of 2 or 3 tablespoons of oil. This is sunflower oil. As you're relying on the sort of heat from the oil, you'll want sort of a bit more than you would normally use, so enough to keep those veggies frying nicely. So I'm just going to bring that up and I'll bring it a little bit closer, because once all this goes in, then I'm just going to be continuously stirring it. So that's about up to heat now. I'm just literally going to put all the veg in together. So I can literally just drop it all in. So straight away you'll hear it sizzling. And it's just important to get straight in there with your wooden spoon, start breaking up the rest of the cabbage. And I'm now just going to continuously stir this for about 3 minutes. And during that time it should all just start to soften a little bit. There's also a good chance at this point to just take a pair of scissors. If you've got any sort of bigger pieces of cabbage which you didn't cut down enough, you can just literally cut them with scissors. nice and easy. And just keep stirring 3 minutes. So you'll probably find that by the 3 minutes or so, the oil has evaporated or absorbed into the veg, so you're sort of running dry there. So I'm going to add the black beans and chickpeas. Which have been drained. You can go straight in there and just get that stirring straight away. So again, just keep it moving around. Doesn't have to be too vigorous, just as long as everything keeps moving. And again, I'm going to just keep that for about, this time for up to 5 minutes, so that everything will be nice and soft, and then we can put the sauce in on top of that. Okay, so that's been about 5 minutes of continuous stir frying, and I'm now going to add the homemade stir fry sauce. And again, just get that moving again, and now spread the sauce around all the vegetables and beans. So to add the kale, I'm just going to drop that all in there. And just give it a couple of minutes more of stirring. What you want ideally is for the kale just to wilt a little bit, so it'll absorb some of the moisture in there, but retain some of its crunch. So you can see you've got a nice colourful stock pot full of vegetables that have been stir fried in a nice sauce. Okay, so I'm just leave it on a very low heat now, just while I sort out the rice and quinoa. So they're now ready. They've sort of fluffed up nicely, all the moisture is almost gone, but there's still a tad in the bottom, and that's how we want it. And that's ready to tip in. So you can see now why I recommend using such a big pot rather than a wok. So again, now just stir it one last time. You can see that coming together nicely now, and looks like just the right amount of everything. So it all comes together very well to form a very nutritionally complete meal. And as I said, you've got 6 to 8 servings here, obviously depending on how big your servings are, and you'll find it quite filling with all the sort of rice and quinoa. So you've got the grains, you've got the beans, you've got the vegetables, and then you've got the nice sort of sauce just to set it off nicely. Okay, I'm going to take it off the heat, because that is ready to serve. So I'm going to just get a couple of bowls ready. So you can literally just serve that straight up, straight away. If you're not going to eat it all on the same day, then make sure you store it in the fridge, where it should last for about 3 or 4 days. But to be honest, it's never lasted much longer than that, because we finished it before then. Okay, there we go. Now I really hope you enjoyed watching the video. If you did, please leave any feedback in the comment section down below. Also like and subscribe. Be sure to check out our website for the full recipe and all the other recipes that you've seen on our YouTube channel. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.